Ladies and gentlemen, could I ask you please stand? Thank you.
I declare open this graduation ceremony. Please be seated. Graduating students, guests, and staff of the university, it is a great pleasure to welcome you to this graduation ceremony as Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Ulster University. The role of the Deputy Vice-Chancellor is wide-ranging. It has its challenges, but these are greatly outweighed by the pleasure I get as an educationalist to see the success of Ulster students as they progress through their studies to the ultimate manifestation of those years of hard work in these graduation ceremonies, the highlight of the university year. Congratulations to all who will walk across this stage, and also to those members of family and friends who have supported you throughout those years. Recent years have rightly seen a significant debate within the higher education sector about the importance of the student experience in ensuring that those who come to university not only benefit from an excellent education, but also enjoy the rewards to be drawn from the dynamic and vibrant interactions of campus life. Leaving here today, you will be exploring different routes. Some will go into employment, some will remain in education, some will go back to your communities to apply your knowledge and skills to advance the economic, social, and cultural lives of those communities. Civic contribution. Before you leave, I think it is worth reflecting on that concept of the student experience for a few moments. It is, of course, not one thing and will have been different for each of you. Let me start by saying that I firmly believe that students must be at the centre of university life, working in partnership with academics and professional staff, not only to develop individuals through an all-embracing student experience, but also to build a university that plays its full role in the communities that it is part of. As Deputy Vice-Chancellor, I take great pride in this university and in its students and its staff. In my view, it is a credit to this university that it provides its students with a superb range of facilities and activities to enable them to make the most of their university days. As you graduate today from the university, it is my firm hope that you can look back on a student experience that has been challenging, rewarding, and transformational in its impact on your lives. Of course, when I talk of the student experience, I realize that this will mean something different for each and every one of you. Some of you may even associate with Stephen Fry's version of student life, that lectures broke into one's day and were clearly a terrible waste of time. Necessary, no doubt, if you were reading law or medicine or some other vocational subject, but in the case of English, the natural thing to do was to talk a lot, listen to music, drink coffee and wine, read books and go to plays, perhaps be in plays. Rather, you came here as individuals, and I and the university appreciate that there are a myriad of student experiences, and it is our desire to see everyone as unique as what they are, but to deliver the same excellent experience to all. You see, it is not just at graduation that you become the centre of life at Ulster University. The university firmly believes that what is good for our students is good for Ulster. Here too we recognise that students enter higher education from different backgrounds, through different routes, on different trajectories, and that they need different kinds and levels of support. I have come to know over the years that Ulster believes in being responsive to student needs and strives to develop a deeper understanding of those needs. Supporting and enhancing the student experience throughout the student life cycle is critical to success in higher education today for both the student and the university. The Ulster experience encompasses all aspects of student life, with the academic imperative at the heart of it, or at least a good second to the social life. It is all too easy to throw around labels without making any real effort to understand what it actually means. Does it focus on the process of being a student? And if it does, what is more important? Teaching, research, facilities like accommodation, sports facilities, nightlife, developing new relationships? Is it about winning a place at a highly ranked university, getting a good job, or being able to name drop a high status brand? For you, it may have been some of those things. It may have been all of them with equal weight. To me, all of these things are important, but what we must ensure is that the individual student and the student body remain at the centre. We must also ensure that there is not an overemphasis on performance data, pro forma checklists, and key performance indicators. One thing is absolutely clear to me. Student life is not about being a statistic and a number on a piece of paper. Because you see, when statistics become too important, then I am of the firm view that university life starts to lose its soul. The risk is that these statistics will become a substitute for judgment and personal engagement. The danger is that a one-size-fits-all approach will emerge, and part-time postgraduates attending classes on wet winter evenings, with probably career development at the heart of their efforts, will be treated exactly the same as young full-time undergraduates who value the overall quality of student life, in which formal academic engagement is an essential part of the wider experience. At Ulster University, we believe in engaging with potential students and their families before they have even begun to think about university. And we are committed to developing and maintaining a lifelong relationship with our students and our graduates. Whilst it may be popular among the sector's administrators to consider students as customers or consumers, Ulster sees its students as individuals, as friends, and as part of its family. As students, you should expect high standards, yes, but we here believe that at the centre of student life is a mutually beneficial relationship between the student and the university, a life and learning experience where students, university and staff meet and grow together. A true university education is about facilitating students, as Donald Rumsfeld might have had it, to know what they don't know, or without name-dropping, of course, as the great actor and graduate of this university, Ian McKellen, might have said, it is to facilitate our students to try and understand what part you have to play in the world in which you live. There's more to life than you know, and it's all happening out there. Discover what part you can play, and then go for it. So what of the social life and the parties? They are, of course, optional, but if it is true that social life is part of student life, whatever form that social life may take, it is equally true that students individually and collectively, through the student body, are in as strong a position as the university to shape life on campus. The university can provide the facilities, but there is a central role for you and your successors in providing the life and soul of this university. The patterns of student behaviour may have changed. Technology may have provided new ways of communicating, and economic conditions may mean that more of you have to work to supplement your income during your studies. I know that our Students' Union is developing to be able to support students in this new context. What has not changed is that fundamental learning and development relationship between student and the university, and long may it last. Those of you who are graduating today are acutely aware that your successors and the young people coming after you may not have the opportunity to avail of the excellent education and learning that you have benefited from. You are aware that even during your time at this university, due to cutbacks in government investment in our young people, we have had to reduce the number of students we are able to take into this university. Northern Ireland as a region invests on average over £2,000 per year less in each student than across the rest of the United Kingdom. Over recent years, the amount we have had to invest in the student experience has been reduced by some £60 million. Queen's University is in the same predicament, and there is more to come. As a university, we are working hard to convince government of the importance of investing in higher education for our young people. I urge you to join us and help us and your younger siblings, and indeed your own children, when the time comes, that they do not have to leave here to fulfill their educational potential. We talk proudly of the Ulster University family. As a family, we must unite to ensure that others have the same opportunity to join the family as you. Be an ambassador for this university, for higher education, and above all, for future generations of young people. Can I congratulate you and thank you for the great enjoyment that you give me as Deputy Vice-Chancellor of this university, and wish you every success, whatever you do in life. I leave you with a thought from the great writer Terry Pratchett in his book, The Last Continent. But we're a university. We have to have a library, said Ridgely. It adds tone. What sort of people would we be if we didn't go into the library? Students, said the senior wrangler morosely. I don't think that applies to the graduating class today, who, in their degrees, have demonstrated their hard work and their achievement. Please enjoy this day with your parents, your friends, and supporters. Thank you. In accordance with the wishes of the Senate, and by virtue of the authority vested in me, I have conferred honorary degrees, and other academic distinctions of the University of Ulster on those named on the conferment list approved by the Senate. I call upon Professor Hamber to present Steve Coyle for the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws.
Deputy Vice-Chancellor, it's my great honour and privilege to present Stephen Coyle for the award of Doctor of Laws in recognition of his support for economic regeneration and peace building in the northwest of Ireland. Stephen Coyle, or Steve, was born on the 28th of September 1945. He grew up in Waltham, Massachusetts, in the United States. His family moved there after they'd been evicted from housing in South Boston. Steve, however, remained deeply connected to South Boston, or Southie, as this predominantly working-class Irish Catholic area is known. Most of Steve's extended family remained in Southie. The Irish say that you can see Ireland from Carson Beach in Southie, and Ireland has always been on Steve's horizon. Issues of housing, perhaps due to his own experience, would remain a key part of his professional life. In short, 4 words capture the essence of Steve Coyle: Bostonian, family, island, and housing. Steve's Irish roots trace back to Galway. His mother was a Flaherty, and in Donegal on the Coyle side. Anyone who comes from the northwest of Ireland, and Derry in particular, knows that Coyle is a common name in these parts. Steve came from a large family of 13 children with 9 surviving childbirth. He attended St. Mary's Catholic School. In high school, he excelled in athletics, especially sprinting and hurdles, and he played the violin. But he was also clearly political from an early age. I'm told that he frequently challenged the authority of the priests and found himself being suspended from school on several occasions. Not accepting the status quo, as you will hear, would remain a hallmark of Steve's life. When Steve concluded school, his sharp intellect meant that he was destined for university, despite his humble roots. He ultimately earned a bachelor's degree from Brandeis University, a master's degree from the Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University, and a Juris Doctor degree from Stanford Law School. Steve is learned in many ways. In a 1985 article I found in the Boston Herald Globe about Steve, it noted that he was a voracious student of just about everything. Anyone who's met Steve knows that this is true. In any conversation, he's as likely to quote Dioxidus, that's a famous town planner, I'm told, or the Iliad, and as a contemporary architect, playwright, or politician. Steve is the type of person you would really want on your team in University Challenge. He also believes in preparation and hard work. In the same article, a researcher working with Steve at the time noted, Mr. Coyle makes a great reliance on background analysis, and I can vouch that this is true. I recall meeting Steve in Belfast a few years back and being flummoxed as he quoted statistics about the Northern Ireland economy to me, all from memory, and asking me for my opinion on some of the contradictions in the data. But importantly, Steve believes in actions more than words. While at university in his 3rd year in 1968, he ran in a Senate primary. He used $500 he had won writing plays about Irish history to finance his campaign. He was unsuccessful, but in 1970 was elected to the Waltham Council as a councillor at large. He was also a member of the Waltham City Council from 1970 to 1977, serving 3 terms. Steve served as an executive director of the Waltham and Dedham housing authorities, and this was really his entry into public planning and housing issues. Perhaps more significantly, he also met his wife Maria around this time, who was volunteering for his campaign. She also grew up in Waltham and went to Brandeis. Maria, I'm told, was Miss Massachusetts in 1967, and although Steve is clearly a man of action in his professional life, I was told that she allegedly proposed to him. Steve and Maria have been married for 45 years, and Maria is an accomplished lawyer in Virginia. Steve and Maria have had 3 highly successful children, Will, Lisa, and Eleanor, and they have 4 grandchildren, Evan, Elise, Maria, and Julia. Maria and Lisa are with Steve here today, and we welcome you. The family are all regular visitors to Steve's home in Vienna, Virginia, with its extensive gardens, which Steve tends as well as maintaining his koi pond. Family gatherings at his vacation home in Maine are also an important part of his life, and Steve enjoys walking on the beach and in the woods with his dogs, Jake and Lady. As a Bostonian, it goes without saying that Steve is an avid Tom Brady, New England Patriots, and Boston Red Sox fan. And I'm sure he's very glad that I got Boston Red Sox into the speech. But back to Steve's professional life. Steve worked for the Carter administration from 1977 to 1981 for 4 years, serving as the confidential advisor to Patricia Harris, Carter's Secretary of Health and Human Services. Once confirmed, Harris was the first African-American woman to enter the presidential line of succession at number 13. Harris had a big influence on the young Steve, and he is quoted as saying, "She changed my life in very fundamental ways. Putting it simply, it's a privilege to work in the public sector. You should work hard. You shouldn't be there forever. You should be absolutely unequivocal about your values, state them, and follow up." Steve served in the federal government as the Deputy Undersecretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Services, and earlier as an executive assistant to the Secretary of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Steve was also the executive vice president of a national architecture and planning firm in San Francisco in 1981 to 1984. However, it was in 1984 that Steve would be catapulted into the public spotlight when he became the director of the Boston Redevelopment Authority, a position he held for 7 years until 1992. In this post, Steve spearheaded billions of dollars of investment into the regeneration of Boston, and all the historical accounts that I have read acknowledge that Steve was an agent of change, bringing a new drive to regenerate the city, tackling inequalities, and confronting difficult issues head-on. The authors of a 1984 book, Streets of Hope, The Fall and Rise of the Urban Neighborhood, note, the one thing that everyone could agree about Steve Coyle was not that he was not a typical bureaucrat. He was someone who, with enough confidence and vision, to look beyond the usual bureaucratic boundaries. Steve's achievements in the redevelopment of Boston are too numerous for me to mention here, but I know that he is particularly proud of finding a site for the New England Holocaust Memorial near Faneuil Hall in Boston, and also the redevelopment of the Charlestown Navy Yard. In 1992, Steve joined the AFL-CIO Housing Trust and also serves as its chief executive officer. The AFL-CIO is the largest federation of unions in the United States, and under Steve's leadership, the investment trust has grown from $500 million to $5.9 billion. And the Housing Investment Trust has housed more than 100,000 families. Ensuring just and adequate housing has always been a preoccupation for Steve, and he remains a long-time board member of the National Alliance to End Homelessness. Amongst all this, Steve never forgot his Irish roots. He roamed Sligo, I am told, with the head of the Yates Society in the 1970s. He's visited several times over the last 20 years. And he is also prone to singing in Irish folk songs that I'm told will bring a tear to your eye. More seriously, though, in the US, Steve is a prominent public Irish American, advocating for development on the island of his ancestors. Most recently, he was the chair of the American Island Fund's Washington, D.C. galas in 2016 and 2017, which raised a significant amount of funds for community work in Ireland. Steve also played a key role in the development, funding, and design of the Foyleside Shopping Centre in the city of Derry, Londonderry, in the late 1980s. The project, which was initiated by John Hume and the Minister Richard Needham, was one of the first major regeneration projects of the city since the Troubles began, and continues to thrive to this day, as many of you know. He was also part of the team that conceived and launched the Ulster Community Investment Trust, one of the most successful micro-lending programs in the United Kingdom. More recently, Steve has developed close ties with Ulster University and has led to the development of a significant philanthropic scholarship program, the John J. Sweeney Scholarship, which supports one US student a year to study at Ulster University. Not only has Steve left his mark physically and culturally on Boston, Steve has left his mark on the landscape of Ireland. Decades ago, he was a dreamer on Carson Beach, Southie, looking across the Atlantic to Ireland. And today, he is one of the pieces that holds this American-Irish special bond in place. Just as his work in Boston touches the lives of thousands of people in invisible ways each day as they move around the city, so too it does in Ireland. Steve Coyle has embedded peace through social renewal. Deputy Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present Stephen Coyle for the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Stephen Coyle, in the name of the Senate, I present to you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa. I call upon Professor Jadreski, Pro-Dean of the Faculty of Arts, to present candidates.
Deputy Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present to you candidates for the degree of Master of Design for Creative Practice, Amy Boyle. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Music with Drama and Diploma in International Academic Studies, James Bigley. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Dance, Chanel Ali. Amy Callahan. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Drama, David John Arbuthnot. Cahal Clark. Roma Harvey. Eve Johnson. Joshua Dermot Magee. Harrison McCallum. Lauren McGinty. Adrian Bridle. Shelby Devine. Caitlin Hunter. Katie Laverty. Luke Martin Merritt. Mark Herbison. Emma Hughes. Liam Mallon. Zarina McArdle. Conor McGuigan. Lucy Simpson. Shannon Stewart. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Drama with Advertising, Cahal Thomas Mercer. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Drama with Marketing, Kevin Mallon. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Irish Language and Literature, Adele Ellis. Noel Flood. Joanne Kelly. Kenneth Kerr. Chloe Kilday. Shauna McCrory. Malachi McGuinness. Fuilan Andrews Iwifin. Jude Doherty Luton. Bernie Heary. Neve Hughes. Rosha McKay. Bridget McCracken. James McKevitt. Cara Murphy. Erin Murray. Ronan Campbell. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Irish with Computing, Catherine Boyle. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Irish with Drama, Erin Nigila Wheel. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Irish with Marketing, Rihanna Devlin. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Irish with Music, Alana O'Hanlon. The degree of Bachelor of Arts with Honours in Music with Drama, Caitlin Ann McCrae. The degree of Bachelor of Design with Honours and Diploma in International Academic Studies, William James Neil Moore. The degree of Bachelor of Design with Honours and Diploma in Professional Practice, Jamie Clark. Jay Greer. Nathan McClenahan. Milena Topolska. Rebecca Austin. Heather Mallon. The degree of Bachelor of Design with Honours, Rachel Foster. Caroline Gilliland. Jennifer Elizabeth Hart. Jasper de los Reyes Gesalva. Michael White. Amber Lee Barnett. Christopher Gormley. Kim McMahon. Leah Monk. Stephen Mooney. Danielle O'Neill. Mary Ann Nicole Scott. Martin Michael Tyre. Neve Breslin. Anna Burnett. Shane Fegan. Stacey Kelly. Kieran McDade. Holly McLean. Stephen Patrick John Mooney. The degree of Bachelor of Music with Honours, Rory Paul Joseph Coyle. Callum Friel. Peter Howard. Claudia McAteer. Christopher McCann. Hayley Anna-Marie McGiven. Aaron McGlinchey. Lauren McLean. Ashleen Morgan. Tanisha Power. Graeme Reed. Louis Bernard Smith. Cindy Nocting Jung. Mark Oliver Araya. Leo Clancy. Rachel Curry. Erin Florissa Gormley. Fiona Muriel Lee. Julia Laura McCallion. Nicola McCord. Rachel McCoy. Brian Oliver McKee. Darren McLaughlin. Lauren Amy McManus. Shannon Murphy. Connell O'Kane. Raymond O'Kane. Joseph Phillips. Amy Pollock. Joseph Martin Quinn. Aoife Simmons. Rachel Lorraine Smith. Andrew Wilson. Megan Catherine Wilson. Charlotte Rose Murray. The degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Creative Technologies and Diploma in Professional Practice, Peter O'Callaghan. Peter Osborne. the degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Cinematic Arts, Colm Austin. Conor Booth. Lee Chambers. Claire Coburn. Ryan de Groot. Megan McArdle. Ayrton McGurgan. Anna Baxter. Gemma Francis Carlin Brannigan. Ola Finucane. Ross Hawkes. Gronia Kearney. James Colgan. Jamie Craig. Christopher Sutherland Kidd. Kieran Power. The degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Creative Technologies, Shannon Lee Harkin. Laura Russell. Porrick Neil Story. Rory Cook. Anthony Kavanagh. Luke Kiernan. Jakub Kłobusek. Amy Makalia. Gabrielle Skelton. Anthony Slavin. Francis Christopher Kearns. Seamus O'Donnell. The Associate Bachelor's degree in Creative Technologies, Diana Nikolova. The Diploma in Irish Language, Anne Patricia Campbell. Chiara Elizabeth Heron. Padre Stefan McGlinchey. Ciela Siobhan McGlinchey. Finula McKenna. Selina Bridget Gallagher. Onya Theresa McGuckin. Mary Teresa Rafferty. Deputy Vice-Chancellor, this concludes the presentation of candidates from the Faculty of Arts.
Thank you, Professor Jadreski, for presenting candidates. I call upon Professor Maguire, Executive Dean of the Faculty of Computing Engineering and the Built Environment, to present candidates.
Deputy Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the Senate, I present to you candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Niall Owen McCarroll. Yehanya Sinkovich. The degree of Master of Science in Computational Intelligence, Brendan Peter Doherty. The degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in Computer Engineering and Diploma in Professional Practice, Peter Macaulay. The degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in Computer Game Development and Diploma in Professional Practice, Michael Barry. James Bradley. Niall Hughes. Christoph Cyprian Kondraki. Luke Donnelly. Ross William Hamilton. Joseph Higgins. Peter Maguire. Christopher McGuckin. Ross Meikle. Nathan Moore. Mark O'Neill. Kieran Watercamp. The degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering and Diploma in Professional Practice, Paolo Bradley. Callum Carton. Anna Harley. Catherine Guns. Cahar McCabe. The degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in Renewable Energy Engineering and Diploma in Professional Practice, Hayley McCready. Emer Smith. Richard Ward. Yazin Aziz Zaire. James Gillespie. Anna Henry. Kyle David McKinley. Nicole McLaughlin. The degree of Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering, Stephen Leslie Beattie. Michael Gerard Dorn. Samantha Kirkpatrick. Stephen James Alexander. Barry John Clifford. Darren Crowe. Richard Pollock. Patrick Rafferty. Barry John Ralph. Kieran Conway. The degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering, Mark Georgioff Jones. Barry Martin Lafferty. Peter McKenna. The degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Renewable Energy Engineering, James Bernard McKinley. The degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Computer Games Modelling and Animation and Diploma in Professional Practice, Aaron Trotter. Daniel Hugh Patrick James McGuinness. The degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours in Computer Science and Diploma in Professional Practice, Gillian Rebecca Bond. Ronan Liam Burke. Philip James Conlon. Adam James Dickey. Siobhan Ferguson. Lauren Graham. Shane Harrigan. Paul Kelly. Christopher McCafferty. Anya McCaughey. Jennifer Magee. Orla Marie Mooney. Peter O'Hagan. Sarah Elizabeth Robinson. Niall Conahan Elsley. Kieran Conwell. John Cronin McCartney. Dermot Curran. Derek Dobbin. Patrick Fitzsimmons. Stephen Harper. Gerard Houston. Ruri Houston. Gareth Irons. Shauna McCann. Stephen McCann. Nicole McCauley. Michelle Morgan. Kayleen O'Boyle. Rory O'Connor. Brendan O'Hara. Conor Toner. Michael Williams. Jonathan Bradley. Sean Mark Meehan. Sophie Helen Mills. Emer Nick Egan. The degree of Bachelor of Science of Honours in Computer Science, Software Systems Development and Diploma in Professional Practice, Shane Stephen Curlin. James Felix McCaffrey. Colleen Murnion. The degree of Bachelor of Science of Honours in Information Technologies and Diploma in Professional Practice, Michaela Bristow. Kieran Ferry. Leanne Lindsay. Aveen Lynch. Natasha McKenna. Damien O'Kane. Audrey Powell. Samuel Harvey. Eugene McGurk. Lorena McMurray. Fergal Savage. The degree of Bachelor of Science of Honours in Computer Games Modelling and Animation, Sean Brankin. Gary Brankin. Patrick Steen. The degree of Bachelor of Science of Honours in Computer Science, Conor Chambers. Ryan Clark. John Devine. Henry Michael Haggerty. Benchel Jose. Tomas O'Neill. Shane Reid. Shane Martin O'Kane. Jordan O'Neill. The degree of Bachelor of Science of Honours in Computer Science, Software Systems Development, Damien Neil King. Michael Lamp. Jordan Cairns. Declan Marsh. The degree of Bachelor of Science of Honours in Information Technologies, Lachlan Ferguson. Bridget Gillespie. Jake Luke Blur. Jill Crawford. Selena Gilmore. Martin Blee. Darren James Rennie. Orla Kelly. Deputy Vice-Chancellor, this concludes the presentation of candidates from the Faculty of Computing Engineering in the Built Environment.
Thank you, Professor Maguire, for presenting candidates. I call upon our honorary graduate, Dr. Coyle, to address the congregation on behalf of those who have been presented.
Mr. Vice Chancellor, my dear friend, Professor Hamber, the leadership of this extraordinary university, the renowned faculty, the class of 2017, your family, your friends, all who have gathered here today, including my wife Maria, my daughter Lisa, and Frank and Ann Costello. I have to humbly thank you for this extraordinary and moving honor. And I also want to thank you for letting me share with you this remarkable day. I will remember it always. I've had a very lucky life. I was the 9th of 13 who lived, 14 born. And as you can imagine, probably even here, if you're one of 13, things don't come in the mail easily. You have to rise early, work hard to get things done. But I always felt lucky. I always felt the path was paved for me by others. And that's going to be one of my messages today. I've had a 45-year career doing finance, development, building housing, more than 500 projects all over the world. My staff said if you wrote a check for all those projects today, it's over $14 billion. None of them have gone under, by the way. But I've also had a parallel life that was started by John Hume inviting me to Derry, where I've spent almost 30 years being a volunteer to those who would ask me for help in trying to do economic development and other activities in the North. So I want to talk about how I got here, how I came home. In 1986, it was a different era. John Hume came to Boston. He was told that I was in charge of development. We were going through an extraordinary boom. We finished 147 projects in 7 years. The dollar value of the investment then was $6.5 billion. We really were full of it, if you know what I mean. We thought we could do anything. So John Hume invited me to have a meeting, and we chatted. And the first thing he said is, "Your name's Coyle. You're coming to Derry with me." So I said, of course. He had that way about him. He was like a sheriff. If he'd grown up in Texas, he would have been a sheriff. So we came to Derry, a team of us. Frank was one of them. He wanted one thing to happen. His view was the Troubles had created a community that was like a police state. Now, many of you remember. Many of you weren't born. You couldn't walk the street in the day without being accosted. My first trip, I counted 11 times where people searched my papers. One time I asked the gentleman with the red berets, I said, what could you possibly learn from my papers that the lad down there 100 feet away didn't learn? But it was just part of a method to try to tell you, don't come over here. We don't want your meddling. We don't need your advice. There was a place called Strabane Crossing, many of you recall. It was a formidable Orwellian place. Large walls that were made of steel that were about 12 feet. You drove your car in if you came from the south. It was a zigzag. When you got to the center, the gates came down and searchlights went on and you were blinded. We had been having a religious dinner with the Catholic Bishop of Ireland and the Anglican Bishop of Ireland because we were trying to build a coalition to get every single person up here involved behind the project we were trying to do. So the lights went on, they pulled us out, and I was up against the wall, and the young man whispered in my ear as they would pin you and search you, and he said, "Go home. We don't need you meddling in Derry." And I turned to him and said, Coyles have lived in Derry since 564 AD. I am home. And that began. His captain said, we're shot at every day. by the people you're here to help. And I said, then maybe you should go home. Again, I was much younger. So we met with everybody. Every single person in the city came to meet with us. We met with the clergy, we met with the academics, we met with the politicians, we met with builders, the union leaders, everyone who could meet. And for 5 days, the conversations were about the troubles, as they should be. And they wanted to know, why isn't America doing something? Why aren't you investing? Why aren't you doing more? There was no concept other than the political concept, the political ideas. What will happen after the troubles? So I went back to John Hume and said, this isn't working. We have to do something else. So he gathered the community at Guildhall. Everybody was there, public officials, clergy. There were hundreds of people there. And I was asked to address the people gathered. And I said, we have strong views about what is going on here, but we're not here for that. We're here to determine whether or not economic development on a large scale can happen in Derry while the troubles are still going on, before they end, so we can open the door to a different future. So we're here to assess that reality. And after 2 days of further meetings, I will tell you this, God's word, there was a great leap of faith made by this community. And I'll tell you, there was no reason to do it. There was no empirical evidence that what we were going to propose would work. But people here so believed that it was time to start thinking about their future that they gave us a ringing endorsement and said, proceed with this project. Now, that was critical to get the British government engaged and all the other governments we had to deal with. So what was the idea? We wanted what is called back in the States a statement project, a large project. Rule of thumb, 1,000 people have to be put to work in the project. Rule of thumb, it has to be more than $50 million. In other words, it has to be something that happens by extraordinary effort, not just routine going about your business. So that project became the Foyle Center. It was, in hindsight, the right thing to do. Because John Hume said, what Derry needed was what Derry had of old, a marketplace, a crossroad, where people from all walks of life could just come together. So we started putting it together. I went back to the States. I was running a large organization. I had 17 research economists working for me. And I said, you're all going to study every single piece of data about the North and the West. You're going to tell me about incomes, jobs, employments, and trends. Now, we're going to make a case that this thing can be financed. So my director of research, a senior man, one of the most brilliant urban economists in America, came into my office one day and he said, Director Coyle, Mr. Hume's marketplace will work. So we began the process of negotiating with the British. They put $25 million US into the project, which was remarkable. And Richard Needham, who unfortunately got in trouble for calling Thatcher a cow, his phones were tapped and he didn't know it, or maybe he did know it. So the 25 million is what's called first dollar loss. It allows you to do a project, go to the bankers, the investors, and say, even if we experience downturn, you won't lose your money. We sometimes call it zero return capital. So when you're doing a project like this, it is necessary. The bottom line is the Foyle Center became a $65 million project. You put more than 1,000 people to work, and it showed the world that Derry could be a place that you could put your money in. Forget the politics. Be aware of the politics. Embrace the politics. But don't be driven only by the politics. And it had a $100 million impact on the North, and it worked. I went there yesterday and said it was the beginning of a series of investment that convinced the world that Derry was the place to bring your capital. And I am very proud to have played a role in helping this tremendous city unlock its entrepreneurial and commercial nature. Now, let me give you some things I learned from that experience. Because as I said, always had this dual identity, developing finance programs in the States, all over the world actually, and then the time I spent working on problems, projects, opportunities in Ireland. Three things came clear to me from my experience here, because I went from Derry on to Belfast to do volunteer work, and I went from Boston to Washington to create that fund, which, as Professor Hambler said, 5.9 billion in assets. I was told this morning that we cleared 6 billion today. Let's hear it for you. As I like to say to my staff, 5, 6 billion, pretty soon you're talking about real money. Some lessons that guided my life back home that I learned here working with the extraordinary people of this community. I'll pass this on to you. First, I want to speak to the graduates. You are very, very special people. You've always known that, I know, but you're very special for a different reason. You are the first generation of the Derry miracle. You did not grow up, for the most part, in that time when you couldn't cross the street or when there were curfews or when there were literally a police state. You've grown up in a different way of life, and that gives you a special responsibility to do more, to dream big, to decide what you want to do, because today you've been given the power to do that. But I would suggest, in addition to the great power of your education at this extraordinary university, remember as often as you can the sacrifices others have made, those who wanted you to have this day. Always keep that in mind. And wherever you are in your life, whatever position you attain, always be mindful of all of the others who help you get there. Second thought that comes to me: don't run away from the big challenge, the big problem, the big moment, the great opportunity. Embrace these things. If your gut and your instinct and the training you received here tells you that you can handle the challenge, that you can face it, that you can do what people call the impossible, then do it. Take the challenge. What you want to be in your life, in addition to everything else you do, whatever walk of life it is, you want to be the person they go to when it's time to do the impossible. You want to be the difference maker, and you have all the skills and intellect and talent and energy to do that. And my final observation: how many times have you been told the devil is in the details? But so is the joy of life. So is the path of knowing. The greater the power of your education that you received here today, that as you develop it through your life, the more capable you become. Because no matter how much you've learned in the years you were here, and no matter how much this diploma represents to you, and no matter how much has been passed on by this gifted faculty, the great value of what you've gone through is you have learned how to learn. That's the key. That is how you grow. That is how you face any challenge that comes to you, with the confident faith that you're up to the task. The more you do, the more life asks you to do. And you want to be the person that everyone else in the room says, he or she went to Ulster. They're the most gifted and prepared people in the entire country. And they will look to you, you will show the leadership, and you will be the person who makes the difference. You have everything you need to do whatever you seek to do. My final reflections. When the peacemaker John Hume received his Nobel Prize, he said in an aside, in the late 1980s, some men from Boston came. And they helped us learn how to trade guns for jobs. In closing, I would suggest an amendment to his remarks. And one of those men from Boston who came to Derry in the late 1980s was coming home. And because of you and the school, he is home again today. So thank you for this extraordinary recognition. Fare forward, graduates. There's so much to do, and we all need your help getting it done. God bless you, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Coyle, for that very inspiring and moving address to the congregation. We appreciate it very much. I call upon Ms. Johnston, a new graduate in the Faculty of Arts, to propose a vote of thanks.
Deputy Vice-Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, I am pleased and privileged to speak to you on behalf of those graduating today. Our degree certificates are a very tangible demonstration of hard work, effort and dedication. Of course, behind that very rewarding, very special and eagerly anticipated parchment lies every part of our experience at Ulster University. And it is that experience that shapes our future prospects and potential. Our studies, the relevance of the knowledge and life skills that we have acquired, the confidence that we have gained, and the firm friendships we have made. We have managed the challenges of completing our studies with our ambitions firmly fixed on the opportunities that will lie ahead for us as an Ulster University graduate. What I feel is important to mention is that regardless of our classification, our Ulster University experience has shaped us, and this is something we can always cherish and always be proud of. Graduating today, it is encouraging to know that Ulster alumni are leading, contributing, inspiring and influencing far and wide. Through the alumni networks, we can learn from those who have gone before us. And the alumni programmes and services on offer enable us to stay connected and supported as we embark upon fresh challenges and opportunities. Ulster University is a place where knowledge is created, generated, shared and brought to life. We leave here as assured and well-equipped graduates, ready to fulfill our career ambitions. The knowledge and attributes that we have acquired in our time here will in turn shape and influence others in the many and varied paths that each of us here today will now choose to take. We remain ambassadors for the university, proud to tell others of the doors it can open and the possibilities it presents. On behalf of my fellow students and friends here today, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our families and friends who have supported and encouraged us in our university career. Of course, our lecturers and support staff are right at the heart of our time here at Ulster University, and we thank them all for their inspiration, understanding and guidance. So thank you all for being a part of this very special occasion, a celebration for everyone, not just for those of us graduating, but for all who play a part in harnessing potential and shaping bright futures. Please do enjoy the rest of your day with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnston, for that excellent vote of thanks. We're coming to the end of our graduation ceremony. There have been 3 ceremonies for our Magee campus in this very special city. And we want to make sure now the graduates who are here, for all the people who have supported you through your years at the university, your parents, your friends, the family, all of the supporters. So can I ask you to give them a very special round of applause? I declare this graduation ceremony closed and invite the new graduates to join the academic procession.